Well, hello everyone, welcome to another WedNESday video, and this time we are taking a look at Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Pools of Radiance. Now, Pools of Radiance is a 1992 role-playing game. It was developed by Marionette and published by FCI. Now, some of those names may sound familiar because we've played games in the Dungeons & Dragons series on the Nintendo Entertainment System that were made by these companies. Now, this one, like some of the other ones, also had PC versions. Now, the PC version of this game had a lot more options and a lot more things going on in it. But we do get a lot in this game, and we're going to take a look at it. Now, let's hit the start button. And this is our opening menu here. We're going to design 5 characters to take on an adventure. So let's hit the character button. We have the choice to view, make, or erase. There are 3 characters made already, but we're not going to use them. We're going to make 5 from scratch. Okay, so first is our options here. Compared to the PC release, we're much more limited in our choices of characters in terms of class, race, and gender combinations. So our humans can be all 4 of the basic classes: the fighter, cleric, magic user, and thief. But humans don't get to multi-class. They can only be one. Some of the other races popular to the D&D games, like dwarves, well, in this game we can only be a male dwarf and we can only be a fighter. Something similar happens with gnomes and halflings. We can only be thieves. But elves and half-elves have more options. So we could be a full class magic user elf. We could be a magic user fighter mage thief. We could even be a magic user thief. And our half elves have options too. We could be fighter clerics, magic user clerics, or fighter mages, or fighter magic users. Now, those of you who have watched me before know that when I do play these games, I prefer to be multi-class fighter something. So that way, that class can enjoy a lot of the benefits of the fighter class as well. You may also remember that I was never very good at spelling when I was young. And when I had this game when I was young, I played a lot of it because I really like this style of Dungeons & Dragons game. So we are going to go with some very simple names. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a male half-elf, fighter cleric. The reason for this is that this cleric now will gain the benefit of being able to use all fighter weapons and armors, could potentially get exceptional strength, which is when strength goes over 18, and will get additional bonus hit points for a high constitution. Fighters in this version of Dungeons & Dragons would get more bonus HP for the same number constitution score. So, for example, 16 might just be 1 for all the other classes, but for a fighter, it might be 2 or 3. Now, we're going to pick our what are we going to pick our mage's alignment? I think we're going to go with, let's do our first one, chaotic good. So these are our ability scores. 13, 16, 15, 16, 16, 15. Those are actually pretty darn good scores. We have 6 hit points. Now, because we're a multi-class character, a fighter, and a cleric, we get hit points for both those classes, but cut in half. So a fighter could get anywhere between 1 and 10. A cleric could get anywhere between 1 and 8. So then we'd roll for both, cut them in half, add them together. So 6, not so bad. Now, because we're a fighter cleric, our prime requisite scores are strength and wisdom. That means the higher our strength is, the better for being a fighter. The higher our wisdom is, the better for being a cleric. Especially for clerics, because that lets them use more magic. So we're going to hit no, and we're going to get new scores. So we got a 16 strength, a 13 intelligence, a 14 wisdom, 15 dex, 16 con, 16 charisma. And our hit points are, actually they're a little bit better. So that might be the highest, or just about the highest they could get. Now, because this is a fighter cleric, I want a high strength and a high wisdom. So we're going to hit no a few more times. So like there, wisdom 17, that's a good one. But look how low our hit points are. That's not so good. Alright, so 16, 17 in our strength and wisdom respectively, with 7 hit points. That's better, but I think we can do a little better. Let's hit no again. And it would be great if we could get an exceptional strength score. So I'm keeping my eyes on strength and wisdom. I would like to have both over 16. So these are actually really good stats. Although the wisdom is lower than I would like. See, okay. Maybe we'll go with this. So yeah. Because I don't want to spend too much time re-rolling and re-rolling and re-rolling. Because this is just a quick look. We'll play it for maybe half an hour or so and enjoy the game. So I'm going to name this cleric after one of my co-hosts. We're going to call this Elf Cleric Wes. Now, this game has, I think, eight characters for names. But a lot of the older NES games only had 4. So think back to like a little Ed, maybe 9 or 10 years old, really bad at spelling, and only had 4 characters anyways. So I usually went with real simple names. Alright, Wes is going to go into the pool of Radiance. Now, we don't have to make 5 characters, but we're going to. And we're going to make another fighter cleric. I'm doing this because it will give us more magical options. And magic is going to be really useful. So we did chaotic good. How about we do neutral good? And again, we want that strength and that wisdom to be high, but we also want to keep an eye on our hit points. And a good dex and a good con can be helpful. So yeah, this is pretty good. This is about on par with our other character. So let's hit yes. And we're going to name this elf John. Alright, so we've got some pretty good combat abilities with some pretty good clerical magic. Now, we need some thieving skills. So, we have the choice of 4 different thieves, just straight thief class, human, male, female, no male or halfling male. Now this game has racial min-maxims, so our strength score can only get so high, our dex score can only get so high, so forth, depending on the race we pick. Older versions of D&D also had gender min-maxes, but I don't think this version does. Now, unfortunately, there is no option for Fighter Thief. There's an option for Fighter Mage Thief, but that's 3 classes. That's 1 too many. Or at least for me, that's 1 too many. Or we could do a Magic User Thief, which, not exactly bad, but I would rather have the benefits of a fighter to complement the thief than a mage to complement the thief, or vice versa. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a human male, and we're going to make a true neutral. And for thieves, for rogues, and so forth, our dex is our primary attribute. So we want that high. So let's see if we can get that over 16. But also keep an eye on our hit points. So this would be pretty good. This would actually be pretty darn good scores if you're playing regular old D&D. A rogue gets between 1 and 6 hit points. So this rogue's got the maximum hit points, not counting any con bonus. Our dex is 16, so our AC is a little bit better. So you know what? We're going to pick this one. I think this one is just fine. And as you always know, I like to name my characters Max. So this is going to be Max. Is he the leader of the group? Maybe. Alright, so we got 3 guys. We got 2 of them fighters, fighter clerics, so we got some good combat ability. What we're lacking is arcane magic, magic user power. So if we go down here towards the bottom, we could be a half-elf fighter magic user. And since we've already got 3 guys, let's get our last 2 to be ladies. So we're going to be a fighter magic user, female half-elf. So I think our first one, what do you say we make our first one lawful good? So again, fighter prerequisite, strength, but magic user prerequisite, intelligence. And look at her, she has a ton of hit points, because her con is 18. But her intelligence is a little too low for what I would like, so we're going to hit no. And we'll keep hitting no until I want to get a strength and intelligence of at least 16. And remember, because this is a fighter, she can potentially have exceptional strength. Alright. So here we go. Strength 16, intelligence 16, con 17. So she's got her prerequisites, and her con is on the high point. But her hit points, not exactly great. A fighter gets between 1 and 10 cut in half. A magic user gets between 1 and 4 cut in half. So the max before con would be 7. And we got 5 with a high con. Not great, but you know what? We're going to keep her. And again, we need a simple name. And when I was naming characters when I was little, I had to name them things like Amy or Kim or May. Because, you know, I wasn't a good speller, and I had a character limit. So we're going to call her Amy. And we are going to make one more fighter mage. Because arcane magic, magic user magic, very useful, especially early in the game. You, I think we're going to make neutral good. And again, we're aiming for strength and intelligence over 16. So that's close. Alright, so here we go. Strength is 17, intelligence is 16. That's good. And all the other scores are pretty good too. And she's got more hit points than Amy. Probably because she rolled better. Although a con 15, that's actually good, but not as good as Amy's. But we're going to keep you anyways. Now, I think we're going to call you Lynn. Amy Lynn, what? I think that was a wrestler, Amy Lynn. Alright. I think we could make more characters if we wanted to, but we can only take 5 of them. So for example, we've got some pre-made characters down here, and if we wanted to, we could pick them to go on the adventure, but we're going to take the 5 we created. And let's begin our adventure. Alright. I kind of like this. I like this music. I like this game. So let's enjoy it. You arrive at the city of Phlan by boat. A man approaches. Welcome, I'm Rolf. I'll be your guide around Phlan. Sometimes I say Phlan, sometimes I say Plan. Because I think phalanx, but that might be it. Please follow me. So he's going to give us a very brief tour of the town. And you can see everything is sort of a kind of first-person view as we wander around. This is the Shrine of Tyr. We have 3 shrines in the city. One for Tyr, one for Soon, and one for Tempest. Rexino, I'm guessing that's it, Rexino, is in the Shrine of Tyr. If you look over here, there's the dock. It's too dangerous to send out ships right now. We want to do something about it. So the game is automatically moving us around at this point. You can see that the direction we're facing is changing, and with each step we take, the timer goes up by 1 minute. This is the training hall. You can train here or fight duels. You can also hire adventurers. So, something important in this version of D&D. If we want to gain a level, we need to go to a training hall and get trained, but we also need to pay for it. So it's not automatic like in some other versions of D&D. If we have the money, but if we go to a training hall, we can also hire an adventurer to join us. Then we can have 6 characters. The thing is, we don't have control over the adventurer we hire, and they'll take a portion of the treasure from every encounter. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you need that extra help. This is the city hall. The city council clerk will give you commissions. That's an important area, because that's where we'll get our missions to go on, and we'll get rewards for completing them. This is the Shrine of Tempest on your right. On your left is the city park. The other side of the gate is Old Phlan. You see, that's why I kind of like the idea of Phlan, like new plan, old plan. The entire area is infested with monsters. That's the whole tour. Goodbye. You're on your own now. So now we have control of the game. This is an entrance to the slums. The guards are watching you. Now that we have control of the game, we can use the directional pad to change our orientation of where we're looking. So if I hit to the right, we turn to the right. We're now facing north. I hit right again, we're now facing east. Same thing if I hit left. If I hit forward, we'll advance forward. This is the city hall. The city council clerk will give you commissions. We'll get that message every time we come by here. So let's just go inside. You enter City Hall. The corridor runs south, and the door beyond is watched by guards. So again, we can just move forward. You open the east door and find the city council clerk. Guards are watching the south door. Now if I hit down on the directional pad, we'll automatically turn 180. So we're going to go east to this door and talk to the clerk. Let me check whether we owe you a reward. You have done nothing special. Now I'll give you your commission. The slums need to be cleared of monsters. Drive away the monsters of Soul Keep. Find any history books about Phlan in the old times. I have given you all the missions that I may. So now, technically she did. Those are the only 3 missions she can give us right now. And we can complete them in any order we like. The issue, though, is they're not always in order of difficulty, let's say. Some of these adventures, these missions, are going to be way too hard for level 1 groups, even level 2 or 3. So you may not always want to do them in the order suggested. And just because they didn't give you that mission as a commission, you could potentially do them out of order. I might go somewhere and, I don't know, maybe find a magic item that's getting sold and find out what magic item it is, and come back here and give that information, and that will reward us for it. Alright, so I've explained how we move around. It's pretty simple. Now, when we hit the A button, that brings up our menu. We can hit the B button to cancel it. If we hit the B button here, nothing happens. In our menu is where we'll have all our choices to look at our party members. So we can take a look at Wes here. He has no experience, but there's his stats. We have 465 gold. No gems yet. We could encamp. Now, since we're out in public, most of this stuff isn't going to work, but we could save, and we will. And we're going to keep continuing. We can change the options of the game. Right now, nobody's set to auto combat. We're going to leave it that way. We can rest, but if we try to rest outdoors, the guards are just going to show up and tell us to move along. We can use our spells if we go to spells. So we have 2 clerics and 2 magic users. Problem though is they have not memorized their spells yet. We'll address that in a minute. And if we wanted to, we could remove a party member. Then we have stuff like casting our spells, equipping items, using an item. Look and search are interesting. If I hit look, we will spend 10 minutes just checking the area to see if we can find anything. Nothing. If I hit search, we will look with every step. So it will take 10 minutes to take steps. But if there was something to find, we might find it. An area is an important one, because this is our map. It shows us the layout of new Phlan, and we can even move around. Now, moving around in the map mode is a little different. We'll move up if we're facing up and press up. We'll move down if we're facing down and press down. We'll move to the left if we press left and move left, and we'll move to the right if we press right. So it's not like in our normal view, where we press up to move forward. Now it can get a little confusing. I believe the manual, let me look at it real quick, has something of a map of the main area of Phlan here. There we go. Let's pull it up real quick. So you can see it over there on our left. Not exactly how I wanted it to look, but hey, we'll go with it. So currently, we're kind of down here in the bottom left area. We want to go to the shops and the taverns to buy our equipment because guess what? We don't have any. Let me just reorient myself for a second here. So that should be our item shop. We could go there first, but I'm gonna go here to the inn first. Welcome! Lodging is 5 GP. Well, we're gonna lodge. So we just lost 5 GP. But for this 5 GP, we can stay here for as long as we like. But the second we hit leave, we exit the inn, and if we want to come back in, another 5 gold. So we have the choice to save here. We have the choice to rest here. So according to old D&D rules, every 24 hours we healed 1 hit point. There was more to it than that, but for the purposes of this game, that's enough. Or we could rest until morning when all the shops and stuff open up. What we really want to do here is memorize our spells. So we're going to start with Amy and Lynn first. Because they're magic users, they only get to memorize 1 level 1 spell. And these are the basic 4. Detect magic, read magic, shield, and sleep. For our purposes, they're both going to learn sleep. Sleep is going to carry you through a good chunk of this game. Because sleep has the potential to put 9 targets asleep and take them out of the fight completely. On top of that, a sleeping opponent can be slain with a single hit. Now, Wes and John are a different story. They're level 1 clerics, and because they have a high enough wisdom, they get to memorize 3 spells. So if you're familiar with regular D&D, you might know some of these spells by looking at them. Cure light wounds, cause light wounds, detect magic, protection from good and evil, resist cold. But unfortunately, this is one of those issues of Nintendo back in the day. They didn't want Christian imagery or terms or so forth used in their games. So something, for example, bless became empower. So we're going to have Wes learn Empower, or pray for Empower, and 2 Cure Light Wounds. If we don't have these curing spells, we're going to have a hard time healing after fights. John, on the other hand, is going to learn to, memorize 2 Cure Light Wounds. So now we have 4 spells that can heal us when we take damage. But he's going to choose Detect Magic. So during the course of the game, we'll find equipment. And if we cast Detect Magic, it will tell us whether or not that equipment is magical or not. Magical equipment tends to be more effective at whatever they're supposed to do. So magic weapons, more likely to hit, more likely to cause more damage. Magical armor, more likely to protect you from damage, and so forth. So we prayed for these spells, we memorized these spells, we need to rest first. So we are going to rest. Rested for a good long time, like 5 hours. And we got immediately out of the inn, and if I wanted to go back in there, 5 more gold. But if we go straight east, that's our item shop. It's not the only item shop. There are a lot of item shops here in Phlan. Now this specifically is the Arms and Armor shop. Every Arms and Armor shop sells the same equipment. There are jewelers that sell special equipment, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Alright, we do want to go shopping here. Because we have no equipment. We have no weapons, no armor. And that's what we're going to get first, armor. So we're going to start with Max. Max is a single class thief. So Max's choice of armor, well, is only leather armor. He cannot wear anything else. His weapons are also really restrictive, but he can use the short sword and the long sword. So we're going to get him the long sword, but we're going to get that last. Everyone's going to get armor first. So I'm going to tell you, armor at this point of the game is probably our most important thing. In fact, let me just pull up the instruction manual here for the armor. It also has the weapons. So here we can take a look. We can see our different weapons and who can use them. So a fighter can use everything, which is why we want to be a fighter. And then we have all these armors over here. In this version of D&D, a lower AC is better. So when Max wears his leather armor, his AC will become 8, and then it will become lower because of his dex. If we could, say, afford chainmail for everybody, their AC will become 5, and then will become lower because of their dex. But wearing armor slows you down. So if everybody was wearing chain armor, they'd move 9 squares instead of 12. So let's close this real quick. So Wes and John, being fighters and clerics, can wear any armor they like and it will not interfere with their spell casting. So let's take a look at our more expensive armors. Plate mail is the single most expensive at 400. We could get 1. We're not going to do that. That's way too expensive. So I suggested chainmail. Chainmail, which would give us an armor class of 5 and would drop us from 12 squares to 9. Banded would be a little better. Splint would be better too, but Splint would lower us from 12 to 6 squares. Now, if I bought 4 suits of banded mail, that would be like 360 gold. which would leave us with only something like, what, 95 gold to buy weapons. And I think that will be okay. So Wes, you're going to get a banded mail. John, you will also get a banded mail. Alright, now Amy and Lynn. Because they are fighter mages, in this version of D&D, they can wear armor and still cast spells. If they were just straight mages, they could not wear armor and still cast spells. In fact, I think in this version, they wouldn't be able to wear the armor, period. Okay, so we got 95 gold to start buying weapons. So let's start with Max. Max's weapon choices are kind of limited, if you take a look here. Being a thief, he could use a short bow, a dagger, a dart, a long sword, and a short sword. So, if he goes with a short sword, he's going to do something like a D8 worth of damage to really big enemies, and a D6 worth of damage to man-sized enemies. Not too bad. If he went with a long sword, he'd be doing 8 points of damage to man-sized enemies, well, 1 to 8, or 1 to 12 to bigger than man-sized. But we probably don't want him up front fighting too much. Now, I think we can afford a long sword for him, so let's get him that. And we could get him a short bow. And I'm just kind of doing the math in my head. So let's get Wes and John weapons. For them, the best choice would be longsword. That's not counting if we want them using a two-handed weapon, like a two-handed sword. We're going to stick with one-handed weapons, so we can also get them shields. Max cannot use a shield, unfortunately. We probably don't have enough money to get everybody long swords and shields, but a battle axe is a nice middle ground, because a battle axe will do between 1 and 8 to all enemies of all sizes. So let's get Wes a battle axe. Let's get John a battle axe. And they can also, well, let's go down to Amy and Lynn. Amy and Lynn are our magic users. Now, because they're fighters, they can also use any weapon. But we don't want them out front doing too much fighting. So I think, let's see, can we afford to get them both short bows? I believe we could. Good, now everybody has a weapon. And we got enough money left over to get shields. Now Wes and John are using they're using axes. So I can't get everybody a shield. But they're going to be up front fighting, so they will get the shields. Alright, and let's leave. Now, I left just by hitting the B button. So it's already been like half an hour, and that was just buying equipment and setting up spells. We haven't even gone into the slums yet to do any fighting. But first, let's equip our equipment. So shield, battle axe, banded mail, AC of 3. Pretty good. A 7-point improvement. And his AC goes down to 1 because he has a higher dex bonus. Now, Wes and John are going to be doing most of our upfront fighting. Max is going to be kind of next to them, helping out. If I could afford it, I would have gotten Max a short bow and kept him more towards the back with Amy and Lynn. Amy and Lynn, same thing. Short bow, banded mail. Eventually, we'll probably want to get them longbows. Longbows will shoot farther and do more damage. Okay, it's time to enter the slums. You enter the monster-infested slums of Phlan. Large insects and rats run beneath your feet. You can hear an alarm in the distance. Okay, so now we're going to start moving around the slums. Thankfully, the slums have a map, so we can kind of get an idea where to go. I know this area pretty good, but not great, so I may have to refer to the map a couple of times. So as we're moving around, we may get randomly attacked, or we may go into a room and there's monsters, like here. Orcs are arguing over some papers. What do you do? Now, I happen to know in this part of the game, everything is a threat, or almost everything is a threat. So, we have the surprise on them. We could try to flee, we could wait to see what happens, or we could just advance towards them. We're not going to do that. We're going to take advantage of the situation and attack. Battle begins. So now it's battle time. So the orc, well, that orc won the initiative, so it went first. Now, Amy here, I'm going to move up a little bit. So when we have control of a character, we can choose these selections from our menu. Move will let us move around the map, which I just did. We have a total movement of 12, but ours is a little lower because she's wearing armor. Then we have similar choices to our other menus, such as use item, or cast, or equip. But we're going to use aim. Because she's using a short bow, she can shoot at enemies a certain number of squares away. And she hit the orc. And she hit 5 points of damage, so that drops the orc. And in this case, she can make another shot. But she missed. So since we're doing good, we're just going to open fire on this orc. Now, Lynn may or may not get 2 attacks. No, she just got 1. Alright, time for John. Now, John is our fighter cleric. We could go down the cast and cast a spell. None of these are useful right now. John, well, he has an axe. He can only attack things that are next to him. So we're going to move forward 1 square. I have 2 options. I can hit the A button, go to aim, and aim at the orc. Or I could move into the orc. So if I move into the orc, John attacks, but he misses. Now Max is our rogue. I'm going to try to sneak behind the orc. Nope, no good. Now Wes is diagonal from the orc. He can attack diagonally, and he hits. 9 points of damage, and the orc is dying. So, the 2 enemies are dead. If we really wanted to, we could keep the battle going, but there's no point, so we're going to hit no. Alright, and here's our after battle screen. We earned 152 XP and got 2 gold. And there are items. But first, let's take them. So that means that's a scroll. And a scroll either has cleric magic on it, or magic user magic on it. We're going to let Amy take it. Now, from the best I understand, the treasure is kind of semi-random. When I say that, I mean there are certain encounters that will always have treasure, but the treasure may not always necessarily be the same. Alright, here's our next encounter. A large goblin is teaching young goblins how to fight. He smiles when he sees you and says, "Good, training partners." What do you do? Well, like I said, No use trying to talk or anything with these enemies, so we're going to attack. Now there are 5 goblins. Not great. So I'm going to go to John and pick guard, where we have 2 options, done or delay. If I pick delay, that means the next character will go, and then later John can have a turn to make an action after a couple of others have gone. So we're going to delay. We're going to do the same thing with Max. Oh, I hit auto. That's not good. That's really bad, actually. Okay, Wes got hit for 3 damage. So what I would really like to do is get Amy to go over here. She's got to go around the goblin, or the goblin will hit her. And cast Sleep. Now hopefully she can cast it far enough that it doesn't hit Max. And that's not the case. Alright, let's see what happens. I can't believe I hit auto. I feel like a dummy. Now, because Max is asleep, that goblin over there could potentially get close enough to hit him and kill him. So, we're going to have Lynn cast Sleep on the goblin that's awake. So that way Max is not in as much danger. Okay. Now, if I'm very careful, we can kind of, sort of keep this goblin stuck. So he can't get at Max with sleep. Alright, Wes. Yeah, you, Wes, I think need to heal yourself. Okay, Wes. Now, Wes can cast Cure Light Wounds on anything that's next to him. So if he wanted to, he could cast it on the goblin. We're not doing that. That's silly. So you are going to start taking out goblins with your bow. Because they're asleep, she will automatically hit, and the goblin will automatically start dying. The goblins won't stay asleep forever, though, so we want to take them out kind of quick. Alright, Goblin Guard is dying. Wes, get up there and whack that goblin with your battle axe. Alright, not bad. So we got a good chunk of XP for this, 278 and 5 GP. And we found some items. Leather armor. So, Max, why don't you take the leather armor? And we're going to leave. So if we really wanted to, we could encamp here. And I'm just going to save real quick. But what we want to do is change auto combat. If we wanted to, we could try to rest here. And it might work, we might get attacked. But since we're still pretty close to where we came in, I'm just going to try to walk out. Uh-oh, dirty goblins. So the goblins are close enough we can try to parlay with them. But I'm pretty sure if we parlay, they're just going to attack. Yep, they're angry and they attack. Okay, now they're right on top of us. And we used up both our sleep spells in the last counter. Oh, and John got hit for 6. That's very bad. So, Wes, you're going to cast Cure Light Wounds. And hopefully we can cast it before John gets hit. Now, the Goblin Leader already got hit once, so we'll try attacking it again. Oh, Wes got hit. That's bad. We're not doing so good. So because he got hit, he loses the spell. Alright, the Goblin Leader is down. Now I'm very nervous, because if one of our characters gets knocked out in the fight, they're not necessarily going to die, but they are going to lose out on any experience they could have got. So the one goblin surrendered. Part of that is because we killed the leader. I was going to try to use Cure, but we'll try to save it for after the fight. Okay, the Goblin Guard surrenders. No, we will not continue the battle. So I think because they surrendered, we got a little bit less XP. So Wes, you are out of magic. John, you will have to do the magic casting. So that was good. Wes got all his hit points back. And so did John. That's good. Let's get out of here. So this might be part of what you do at the beginning of the game. You go into the slums, do a couple of fights, come back out. Rest, recharge. So we're going to lodge. And we're going to cast a spell. John is going to cast Detect Magic. And we are affected. I didn't want to leave. That was the wrong thing. Can we look at our items? I'm not sure if we can even look at our items. Well, let's not waste any more money. Because I'll just spoil things for you. The leather armor should be magic. And the scrolls are magic. Now this could get a little tedious. You gotta do it every time to rememorize spells. And we'll save real quick. So, because we saved, the Detect Magic is probably not active any longer, so we can't tell what's magic. We do know that Max's AC is 6 right now. So when we change our armor, it goes down to 5. So this is magic armor. It's making his AC 1 point better. So let's sell his leather armor. And later when we have more money, we could get his leather armor identified. Alright, back into the slums. Now I was hoping to do, in this video, to clear out the slums, and that would be our first video. Well, maybe our first video, we'll see. Maybe we'll do more episodes. But we're getting pretty close to an hour. Oh, you've got a bow and arrow. So I'm delaying because I want to wait for one of our wizards to get their turn. Magic users. I want to hit these enemies with sleep. So John is going to use his battle axe to hit the leader. Amy's going to get a little closer and use her bow and arrow. Alright, Cobalt goes down. And we get 35 XP and 3 gold. It's not exactly great. Not exactly terrible either. Now if we look at our party member, let's look at Max first, because Max only has one character class. Even though we've been getting a lot of XP, we're dividing it amongst 5 characters. So Max, who only has one character class, has 116 experience points. But, for example, Wes, who has 2, only has 60 each. John also has 60 each. If John's strength or wisdom was lower, he'd be getting less experience. Well, not so much he'd be getting less, he wouldn't be getting bonus experience. Now, my suggestion is pay close attention to who's earning XP and how much. Because 1, you have to go and train to gain levels. You find a very dirty room. There's evidence of a large, untidy animal. So, we're going to look in this room. Because we found a large leather bag. And we will open it. So for finding this leather bag, we get 950 XP, which is divided amongst 5 characters. But we get 100 gold and we find 2 gems. Gems are items we can only sell for gold. And I think the value of the gem is determined when you get it. And there are some items. There's a short bow. We're going to give that to Max. This short bow is probably magic. Now, Max will jump back and forth between short bow or longsword, depending on the encounter. I believe there's a fight behind this door. Yep. Kobolds are dining here. One turn that says, "Who are you? Go away!" Well, they want us to leave. We could probably flee, but no, we're going to attack. And yeah, there's a bunch of them. So we're going to try to get a little closer, and hopefully I can cast Sleep and maybe hit 4 of them. No, I'm not close enough. So we stop casting the spell. I hope that didn't use up the spell. Oh, and John goes down. So why bother fighting? Because John won't get any experience for this. Well, you know what I think we'll do? I think we'll finish this fight, and then we'll call it an episode. Or a video, because I don't know if we're going to play more. The RNG gods have not been kind to us. I think Lynn used her spell already. Okay, the Kobold leader is down. Now, since we're next to an enemy, we're going to have to switch to our longsword. And we gave it a shot. Now we're going to give it another shot. Alright. But you're just going to take its place. And nope, we used up her spell. So you gotta be careful about that. You just can't cancel a spell and expect to keep it. But I think between the 4 of us and all our bows and arrows and battle axes and swords, we're gonna be okay. Let's find out. Wes, you're not doing so good. So, now you see there's kind of a wall here? That can sometimes block our shots, but in this case we're fine. Okay, only one left. It might even surrender if we don't take it out fast enough. Ah, but Wes got it, and the kobold is dying. No, we're done with the battle. Okay, a lot of XP, but John gets none of it. John is thankfully only unconscious, not dead. If it said that John was bleeding to death, that would have been a whole nother story. And we got some bracers. So we're going to give those bracers to Max. Alright, and that's it. Let's leave. Alright. So Wes can cast Cure Light Wounds on John and heal them a lot. So John is back in the fight now. I don't know if John has his spells though. He's got them. But I think that is more than enough. This should give you an idea of what Pools of Radiance is like. And I really do like this. Oh, more goblins. We've surprised them, so let's flee. We hide. So I do like it. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. And one more thing. We're up here in the top left corner. Let's change area. Take a step forward and look. Oh, I thought look might work, but there's an invisible wall. And it's a secret treasure room. Tons of experience, lots of gold, and gems. And another short bow. So I think that's a good spot to end it. So, if you're interested, go out and give this game a shot. The NES version is the version I've got to play the most of. I don't even remember if I've ever played the PC version. Although the PC version probably has, let's say, better options, has more to offer. I do know, for example, the PC version has multiple forms of currency, so that's something fun, and more options for character classes and races. But maybe we'll take a look at this some more, or maybe this will be our only video. Let me know if you want to see more. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.